Big your shot.
Yeah. Cool. Salutations. Peace to the family. 747 24/7 361 degrees. Hey, what is today's date in the codex as well? I appreciate that. Here you go. Ooh.
Finish?
Yeah. We are broadcasting live. It is kind of chilly in Florida today, but we are sitting next to a nice warm fire, and we are enjoying some good time. I want to say shout out to the family, peace to everybody that supports the movement. Allow me a couple seconds to set up the video as well as connect the thought of what we're going to be talking about today. Um, Taino 101, as well as spiritual, what is it? It's going to be a spiritual mindscape. Okay. So shout out to everybody that comes in. My fault. Just give me 2 seconds to set it up. Okay. If you got any questions, let me know as well. Any comments, put it in the comment section. So I do have a small PowerPoint presentation. I'm gonna bring up a couple things for everybody. All right. We about to have a lot of fun. So lately I've been sharing a lot of information about excuse me. Lately I've been sharing a lot of information about the Taino culture. I also been sharing a lot of information about life itself, my books that are on Amazon. If anyone is interested in the information I'm sharing, you can get my books on Amazon. What's up? Peace to everybody. State your name, put it in the comment section. You are relevant. I want to say peace and love to all the all stars. I love y'all. So like I said, we're gonna do a little Taino 101 for everybody. We're gonna do a little Taino 101. We're gonna talk about the semi and what the semi represents. I'm not gonna go too far or too deep into, I would say, the history of the people. We'll save that for another conversation. But what I will get into is the idea of connecting up of what a lot of this spirituality of the Taino people meant. Okay, so like I said, shout out to you if you are in the building. Peace to everybody in the Facebook. Peace to everybody in the YouTube. All right. So you think about the Taino culture. One of the things, a lot of when you hear me chanting, excuse me, when you hear me chanting, you hear me chant yeah 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 yeah. People wonder, why do I say yeah all the time, like when I'm doing the chant? First of all, why am I doing a chant in the first place? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. Why is he doing a chant? See, when you think about sending a frequency out to the universe, it has to resonate like a pulse. And the only way you can resonate it like a pulse if you say it or do it over and over and over again. It's sort of like going through a situation. And as you go through that situation, you learn from it because you didn't hit your head not once, not twice, but 3 times. All right. So when you saying something repetitively and it represents a frequency of thought, you're sending it out to the universe. So Yah is recognized as the spirit of the tree. It was the great tree. It was the family tree that we were all part of. All right. The trees held a great significance for the Taino people, and they believed that each tree had its own spirit or essence. Yaya represented the spiritual presence dwelling within the ancient trees. So we're talking about the tree of life. So this was also discussed about in the Bible, also in the Quran. They have different concepts of what they say the tree of life is. So the tree of life is essentially a part of what Yaya assimilates as in this manifestation. So that's why, as Taino people or noble ones, we give reference to Yaya. Okay, so a lot of times you'll hear me chant that word, and that's very important to realize. So today's date so happens to be 467 in the Codex. We actually live in a new age. It's called Tanun, or the age of information. A lot of people call it Aquarius or other things, but today's date so happens to be 467. Now it's 392 days in this calendar, and that would be bringing you back to the 7 because that would be 14 times 28. All right, just for anybody to build this, it's not dealing with the how the sun revolves around the earth, or excuse me, how the earth revolves around the sun. It's about how certain cycles move, and this is bringing one back to the cycles of creation, which deals with the number 7. All right, so now let me connect you up with a lot of other information that represents the Taino people, essentially, so we can just have this build. So the Taino people had a deep connection with nature. The trees were seen as not only sources of physical resources like wood for construction and fire, but also as living beings with spiritual significance. They believed that by honoring the spirits of these trees, they could maintain harmony with the natural world and seek guidance and protection. So let me tell you something about a semi and how they connected up with the tree. Because if you knew Yaya was the grand force of the Taino, and I can talk about the creation because that goes on a whole nother conversation. I'm just beginning with Yaya. All right, so Yaya is the sacred tree. So every tree has a spirit force associated that comes from the tree of life, the grand tree, which is called Yaya. All right, as associated with the Taino people. Now we can say Taino, but Taino is just a generic term because when the people were captured by Christopher Columbus, after the siege that happened, when Christopher Columbus left his people after the siege that happened at the fort that they left, because the Taino people realized that these people were trying to take them over or trying to do harm, more harm than good. What happened was they captured people, and they was telling them that they're Taino, meaning that they're noble people, that they didn't commit a crime. All right, so in actuality, the people that run with the name, it could be it could be argued, but we're not going to argue with that because a lot of us still identify with that name, and more importantly, we should identify with the culture. All right, so I'm gonna share more thoughts with you about what the Taino concept represents. Also, the Godhead, the spirituality that can take you to the next level if you would like to embrace this. Because for real, to be honest, you know, as Taino people or as people in general, we supposed to upgrade any spirituality of the ancient ones. That's what it's truly about. And that's what I'm here today to do. All right. So the Taino people is very important. Why is that? Because Yaya and this the spirit force of Yaya was the spirit of the tree, as acknowledged and respected by the Taino people as a part of their spiritual worldview. They would offer a gratitude and reverence to Yahya when using trees and various for various purpose, recognizing the vital role of the spirits and the trees. All right, and culture. All right, now so hear me out. Another thing about the Taino people, You think about the grand creation. The grand creation started from the motherland, which was considered to be Pangea for those that argue continental drift. Continental drift happened millions of years ago, but as the continents drifted, the people were still remaining. So those same people that were in Africa were also in the Amazon. You hear me? And then they migrated into the lesser and greater Antilles on up. Now, it has been argued that these people migrated straight from Africa on to India, on to Australia, on to what else? On to Australia, on to Russia, China, Alaska, Canada, California, the Midwest, and flooded the Mexico on down to South America. But that is not true, ladies and gentlemen, kings and queens, emperors and empresses, gods and goddesses. That is not true. It has always been a people that has existed here on this side of the planet. So don't let them try to fool you and say that, we don't stem from a greater people that existed over here as well. And we created by the great mother, which was the turtle. All right, cool. Hear what I'm saying. So now, as I'm giving you more information about the Taino people, I'm gonna tell you about Huracan. All right, Huracan is deep because Huracan is the spirit of the wind, bringer of rain and storms. And what you would think, you would say, why would you call upon rain, Lamel? Why would you call upon storms in your life? In a sense, Huracan is attached to the replenishing of one's spirit, because when the rain comes vitality. That's when comes the life comes, and also when the storms come, you learn how much you can endure. All right. So when you embrace Huracan and when you call upon Huracan, you call upon Huracan with a grand force. And this is where they stole the word hurricane from one of our great Taino ancestors, or a spirit force that represented our people. All right. So Huracan is not the hurricane that what you think. Huracan is the spirit of the wind that's in you, because you become Huracan on the earth. You move with the grand wind. All right. You move with the rain. You move with the storms. And the Greeks, they took this to be Poseidon. All right. This was the same god as Poseidon in a sense. All right. But the Taino people had no association with the people that was attached with the Greek philosophy or theology. They had their own concepts of how they connected up with the grand force. So Huracan was very important. So I gave you two spirit forces, which is Yaya, which is the grand tree, or the tree of life that we all come from. All right, the family tree, or the family three. All right, that we all come from. But I gave you another force, which is Huracan, because Huracan would be the breath that literally animates one. It's the breath, the life that moves throughout the earth. That is Huracan. All right. Moving forward, we talking about Koebe. Koebe is the spirit of fire. So now it's Koebe is the bringer of warmth and light. When you feel your body, you're warm. You're warm. Why? Because the grand Koebe, the spirit force of that warmth, or that soul that's inside you, gives you a warm heart. It gives you compassion. It allows you to drift towards mercy when you move through life. So you are a compassionate soul. So you have Koebe inside yourself. All right. So this is another force of the great Taino. And people might say, well, why you say Thawala in it? Or is this a cousin tribe of the Taino? In actuality, Thawala is a term that we have came to embrace in this day and time, which means it means connect. It means how can I explain it? Collective consciousness, or it can mean divine manifestation. But when you put it together in Taino with the sacred words that we have learned, it means house of sacred worship. And you can go check this out, because it's a Taino dictionary online. All you got to do is do your homework. If you really want to learn the culture and um, um, the spirit of technology of how your people embrace the grand reality. All you got to do is first of all connect up with the language, because what I've realized is when I start calling upon the spirit forces of the great Taino, they start moving through me, and I start overstanding, understanding a better narrative of how they designed it, because you cannot wait for the colonizer to give you a description of what your ancestors were talking about. All right. So hear me out. Moving forward, you got Yakahu, which is the spirit of agriculture. Now, spirit of agriculture, in a sense, is the bringer of abundance. So now we all want favor from the universe. We all want riches. We all want things to go our way. So when you call upon Yakahu, you're actually calling upon abundance in your life. You're calling upon things to transpire in your life in a whole another perspective, where it's not so hard, where things is not so argumentative, and you don't have a hard way. So you call upon Yakahu to move through the spirit of those that are connected to the Grand Taino. Because let me tell you, a lot of us are arteroid, austenoid, solidoid people, or what they call Arawaks. And that these people, like I said, migrated from the great Amazon, not just from Africa. When you talk about Africa, you're just talking about a diaspora of time, and you're talking about a diaspora of people as well, because Leo Aphrodonus is subject matter to be argued of why they named the continent that name. So now we talking about the idea of this was one land, and these same people, they walk from one region to the next, and as time progressed, the land started to drift apart, and as it drifted apart, the ideas of the people drifted apart, because they began to change, not only in cultures of how they assimilated reality, but they began to change how they appear as well. So this is something that I want y'all to understand. Yakahu is universal, because Yakahu is the bringer of abundance. That's what we call upon as Taino. Okay. Then you got Atabe. Atabe is very important, because Atabe is the earth. It's the yielding force that assimilates from the earth. See, Atabe cannot. It's not just the earth. This is what I learned too when you call upon Atabe, because Atabe is like Atabe can be associated with how things like yield from the earth. All right, things that come from the earth, like, it's certain things that we would want to run into in a certain type of way, or we want to call it luck and say, man, yo, I hope I run into this. And then what is associated with that is a tabe, because tabe is the yielding force of the earth. All right, that brings forth sustenance from the earth, mother earth. And a tabe is a feminine principle when it comes to the Taino people. Okay, Taino 101. Cool. So we got Guabenesex. Guabenesex is actually the consort of Huracan. So like Huracan, I gave you the breath, and I was talking about Huracan and the concept of what Huracan represented. But now we talk about Guabenesex, because Guabenesex is a spirit, not only the spirit of the spirit of hurricanes, like what you think, but it's the bringer of destruction and renewal. You say, really? Yeah, because sometimes you have to build to destroy, or destroy to build. So meaning that you have to start over. Like you're like, let's say you come to a conclusion of certain things that happen in your life. So you call upon Guabenesex, because at that point you had renewal, because renewal came from destruction. And you might be the one that destroyed yourself, or destroyed a relationship, or destroyed anything that made you or have you in the position that you are today. So you call upon Guabenesex for the renewal of one's soul and one's spirit. Because remember, Huracan is the breath. Huracan is the breath. So Guabenesex needs to call upon her consort as renewal. For renewal, she call upon her consort as Huracan. All right, as him being the breath of renewal, or the breath of life. Okay, that's why you say Huracan. All right. So you got the Zemi. So the Zemi is the spirit of the ancestors. All right, the bringers of wisdom, those that associate themselves with wisdom, those that are connected with the grand design of wisdom, and how wisdom associates one for guidance, for to bring one into the realm of that is unknown into the known. Let me tell you something about a zemi or a semi. Like when the Taino people would go through something, right? Let's say they would make any type of thing, like a canoa. Don't you know a canoa is actually a zemi? Now you take the same word canoa to be canoe, like it was a semi, like everything that they associated with life itself was literally a semi. All right, it was a way to connect up with the divine force, because it was a captured moment of their experience with the divine force. Like when a warrior or a woman would go out into nature and they would gather something to create a zemi, they would ask the universe to affect them in a certain type of way. And that object, why I told you it was connected to Yaya, because that Yaya was the same wood that they carve a lot of their spiritual connections with, such as Yakahu, which was also symbolic of the three what's the name, the three statue, the three-pointed statue that has the man, the woman, and the child in it. So man, these are sacred teachings, man. That's why I tell people, man, like, man, we are upgrading the technology, and it's time for the people to know the real truth of the matter. All right, now I show people that too with yeah, this is what we talk about, the people that are descended from the this line right here. All right, but we're also talking about look, hear me out. This is what I was telling you, Yakahu. You see this? You say, man, this is a disfigured it, it, it actually represents metamorphosis, one changing into something. Because at the top of Yakahu, or this Zemi, you have a, 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 a nipple of a woman, you have the breast of the woman, and then at the chin, you have the man, which represents the masculine principle, the chin. All right, the chin. The nipple represents the woman, which is at the head. You see that? The head is the woman. You see that? And then you got the face. He represents the woman because he's at the chin. All right. And then at the back of the Zemi, what do you see? It's associated with the child. It's connected with what the child represents. All right. And you can go check this out and see what I'm talking about with this. All right. But back to what I was saying, the Zemi essentially represents the spirit of the great Taino, the wisdom of the ancestors. It's not just like, let me tell y'all something. For anybody that want to argue the language of the Taino, first of all, y'all don't got too many words of what the Taino knew, or what they left with the conquistador. They didn't leave that many words with them. So a lot of words that y'all finding out, you got to find it out by living the culture. And a lot of it's in Cuba, a lot of it's in Puerto Rico, the Jamaica. These are all freaking um Taino names. All right, Borican, on down, even down to Trinidad, down to Venezuela. A lot of these are Taino cultures. Brazil, all of them are part of the Taino diaspora. They spoke different languages, bro. They just didn't speak one language. They spoke probably about, it is estimated about at least 7 dialects that you would consider be Arawakan. So it wasn't just one Taino language that they spoke. They spoke a universal language. Don't you know Sequoia? It's a brother named Sequoia that came years back. He was a real true Aboriginal. You know what he tried to do? He tried to put all the tribes together, and he created an alphabet that has over 80 um letters in it to have to unite all the tribes, because of how many languages that the tribes spoke together. All right, they didn't just speak one language. It was the cacique. Don't you know the cacique? He at least spoke 12 different dialects of the Arawakan language. All right, why? Because he represented the people. He represented not only the people, he represented the island. So if he represented the island, he was able to speak to the other islands. Do you get it? He was able to go speak to the grandmother. The grandmother was which was in Brazil. All right. He was able to speak to those people, the cacique. All right. So that's very important. The cacique is what you would consider to be a prophet today. But a cacique was more than that. A cacique was an embodiment of what the ancestor truly represented, meaning that he was the example. All right. He wasn't just somebody that just ran his mouth. He was somebody that lived it, the principles of the great Taino. So when I say Taino, again, it is a universal principle. Shout out to Sister Bankstar in the building, Messiah Cole All Star. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate everybody that supports all the tribes uniting. We already know what it is. It has been I would say an attack on our people to not know who we are. And the reason why I think, and I'm going to just say my opinion on this, is because so you won't call on that grand force. Because one of the things that they did to our people when they first came, to keep it real, they damaged our people by making our people sick. Like you can say, man, what about the forces that they was trying to call upon, Lamel? I'm gonna say this: if you sick, a lot of times when you sick, you can't do what you are really designed to do because you sick. You inhibit it in some type of way. You have a handicap. The first thing that the conquistadors brought with them was sickness. Y'all hear me? Which weakened the people. So that's where I'm gonna go with this. But it's up to us as their sacrifice remained is to be the remembrance of who they were. Because it is in my heart to know that when I utter the frequencies into the universe of the people that spoke the language, that heard the language, that knew the language, that felt the language, that they hear me. They like they hear me. You know why they hear me? Because like if you think about water, right? You think about water. What does water try to do? Ladies and gentlemen, gods and goddesses, kings and queens, emperors and empresses, Zemi. What does water try to do? Y'all tell me. Water tries to get to a greater body of water, no matter where y'all put it. Y'all can put it in any bottle. Y'all can put it in any whatever. You can even put water inside you. Water will try to get out of you to get to a greater body of water. Am I right or wrong? What if I tell you the wave of connection of or the wave of frequencies that you put out in the universe, like thoughts, it's almost like water. It's like a wave. It's like a wave that you put out there, even thought. It's like waves that you put out there. So when you put the wave out there, guess what? The wave is trying to connect with the same wave so it can be a greater wave. This is called harmony. You hear me? Taino. Yes, water is memory. When you actually thinking at certain points, you thinking with the concept of what the water is inside you. Because that water has traveled throughout the universe. That's why we call upon the water or we ashe the water or bless the water when we drink it to keep it 1,000. All right? Keep it 1,000. They have made it illegal to drink rainwater at certain, for real. Who knows? But the people used to gather rainwater and it had a certain spiritual principle that connected up with it. All right? You got to be in the same chord for harmony. That's right. On the same chord. You know what that chord is? The chord is the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord that connects up to the grand cave or the grand womb. Because the Taino people believe that we came from two different wombs or what they would call a cave. People like the conquistadors, they would associate it with this cave as just like just a cave, but the cave had water in it. It went down into a water um, place because it is known for the Taino to put a lot of their offerings inside or underneath the water. Go check that out. A lot of the offerings that the Taino made that are still preserved. If you had a scuba diving kit, you can go into these islands and find that They got well preserved offerings that they were offering to their ancestors underneath water. And that water was represent when they went into that sacred place, it was symbolic of going back into the womb. And that's why they left their offerings there. And they are well preserved until this day. All right. To keep it 1,000. So moving forward, you know, as we learn the power of Bo'o. So Bo'o is the bringer of power and authority. So a lot of times people want authority in their life and they want things to come. But the frequency of the Grand Taino that moves through you or moves through your bloodline was called Bo'o. So Bo'o was the power or the strength of authority. All right. So you can have authority over the matter. So it won't rule over you. So you can rule over it. All right. A lot of us are ruled by the things that pester us, the things, or even we are ruled by our emotions. We are ruled by the things that move us in a negative state of mind. So, it is all about tapping into the spirit force to take your mind or take the frequency of thought into the next level. So Bo'o was actually connected with that great Taino. All right. So again, Taino is a universal principle that will be applied to all tribes if you are part of the noble stock, because Taino was actually nobility. It was symbolic of one being noble. All right. So now moving forward, we talking about fertility, Yahahu, that we want in our life. And then we all came from the great Yaya. So Yaya is the grand family tree or the tree of life. The tree, like literally, don't you know the dendrites of your brain look like a tree? It is literally it looks like a tree. These are petroglyphs. Now, when I go to Bodican, which is one of the islands of the Taino of my ancestors, all right, I'm going to go take pictures of the real petroglyphs, and I'm going to do an in-depth study on each petroglyph for what they represented, and I'm going to come out with a book called The Soul of Taino, and I'm going to do first source information because I'm going to do the archaeology myself. I'm going to be right there at the sites, and I'm going to be gathering different information for what I need to translate it to my family today. All right. So one of the grand symbols of the Taino is the turtle. Y'all hear me? One of the grand symbols of the great Taino was the turtle. See, the turtle was the ambassador of this world and the next. Shout out to Messiah Cole All Star, Akshita Vita, the general. What up, Coom? You see, these are markings on the wall. Now, a lot of people they they underestimate the power of these markings on the wall, and I'm gonna say, you know why? Because they're so used to the caveman mentality. Back in the day when they saw like cavemen's write markings on the walls, it was different to the Taino people. When they was making markings, they was capturing a moment so their spirit can return to it. You got to hear me like this. If they left something behind on stone in a designation and it was associated with a zemi, hear me out. It was so their spirit can return, so their spirit can return to it. So when you go back to the site, you gotta be like, because they knew that they was in danger. They knew that they was sick from the conquistador coming upon them. They knew that death was upon them in certain type of ways. So the only thing that they could do is leave behind something for their children to tap into in a later date in time. And they was hoping that you will understand or understand the power of what the semi represented. See, the semi, like I said, it wasn't just associated with what you consider to be God. It was the way to tap into the force, but it was associated how the force assimilated in life itself. So you will always have a way to plug in. You will always have a way to plug in. So it's like this. When I close my eyes, and utilize my imagination, you never know where my mind is going. Just like I never know where yours is going. So we travel in many dimensions, and we are able to know that the ancestors are moving through us or inside of us at the same time. It is no stopping us to upgrade the technology and bring to manifestation what we need to do with the remembrance of who they were, who they was, and who they will be through us. Messiah. Real talk. That's a coom on that one. So, this Arecibo, Puerto Rico. I was showing y'all some stuff. Um, another thing is I want to talk about the ingenuity of these people that people sleep on. When you talk about the pyramid of the sun, and when you talk about all these pyramids, please stop sleeping on this, and please stop denying the fact that a lot of y'all have autoroid, saladoid, y'all have Arawalkan descent. Please stop arguing that. We're not going to argue that no longer. When y'all start thinking about it, like, oh man, those people, like a lot of us went, like, yes, we have African descent, a lot of us as well, because these people mixed in. And then a lot of us got Europeans jumping out of the closet as well. But what I'm saying is this, hear me out. If you do not remember your people, and if you don't bring them their remembrance into it, to existence, guess what you're doing? You are part of the genocide. Keep it real. So yeah, the great structures of your people. Look at that. All right. We got things that we have done that we need to understand that we are worldwide. What is existing inside you? So if you like, man, for real, yeah, what's inside your blood is worldwide. All right. You got every portion of the world inside you. You got a great people moving through you that did great things. Let's not forget none of them. All right. So that's what I was talking about. The autoroid, the far as the different I'm gonna say the time ratio of how the migration, moved on up. It didn't just move from freaking what do they say, the north. It didn't just come from the north, it came from the south. All right, it sprang forth from the south as well. All right, because like I said, this was all one man landmass at one point. Okay, moving forward. Yeah, so these are different things. My fault. Let me just bring y'all back to the pottery semi. So the pottery semi was different than what people thought. Like, you got to think about it. Um, when the Taino partook upon life, or when they drank or ate, they consider that to be part of vitality. They that was the essence of the spirit of Yaya itself. All right. So, but it was another thing with the pottery semi that connected them up, because at the potter's wheel, they would actually mold the spirit of the grand semi, or how to connect up with that great force. All right. So they would create certain pottery, excuse me, and eat from it or drink from it to represent that spirit force as well. All right. It's sort of like putting Ma'at on a plate. You know how people put Matt on a plate? People put Horace on a plate. People put whatever on a plate. So when they put it on a plate, they were saying like, man, like it was a way that this God was providing, or this force was providing for them. All right. And moving through and giving them vitality. Okay. So I just, sharing that thought with the family as well. All right. I'm not going to get too deep into this because I broke this down before, and I'm gonna more or less take comments and questions. All right, because I was breaking quite a bit of things down here, and I don't want to get off topic, but I want to stay on the topic of remembering who we are. This is Taino 101. Taino is connected with the noble people. Now, again, it is many nations that are a part of Arawak stock. All right, whoever or tribe that you connect up with, I am a supporter of you long as you represent righteousness for our people. All right, just to let you know that, to keep it 1,000, 1,000. So another thing is that I'm going to be shooting a lot of videos, and I'm going to be doing a lot of uh, spiritual chanting music, because that's what another thing that I regard that is important as well is the fact that, you know, when you start speaking the language, because they consider that to be a dead or extinct language, when you start speaking that language, you start to feel different. Let me keep it 1,000. You start to feel different because the utterance or the vibration is in you. And then think about it. If your ancestor is asleep in you, what wakes up something when you start to shake it, right? You imagine if you sleep, right? You knocked out, you sleep. The only thing that can kind of really wake you up is if you wake up by yourself or somebody comes and shake you. So the way to shake the ancestor that's inside you is to vibrate, is to vibrate. And when you vibrate, you say the sacred tone of what they spoke or how they chanted. And that's what I'm giving to you. That's what I'm giving to the people. All right. So yeah, yeah, that's what I'm giving to the people. Any questions as well? Any questions before I get off, or comments? I'm gonna put a little chant in here, and I hope y'all you enjoyed the discussion that we just had. I talked about Koebe. Now remember, Koebe is the idea of having warmth. Okay, let me bring this back. I put this I'm gonna just conclude this build. Let me talk about this. I talk about Atabe. Uh, let me see here. I talked about Yaya Huracan, Koebe, spirit of fire to bring up warmth. See, man, Koebe is so deep, man. You know, I learned about Koebe. Koebe is really compassion as well. Um, that's what I wanted to tell everyone. Like when you really start chanting these words, you really start to feel the association of who and what the people um and how they connected up with this force. All right, real talk. Huracan is the breath. Yo, I called upon Huracan the other night. My word, yo, it was so much rain came in the morning time. So much rain came in the morning time. It was unbelievable. My queen to tell you, I was chanting Huracan all night long, like I had it going, and then like for real, it's like Huracan. Then next thing you know, like it just started raining like crazy rain in the morning time. I was like, yo, man, this is weird, and maybe it could have been the Rain Man didn't talk about that shit. Let me keep it real. The Rain Man did not talk about that. So we don't know what power we truly have by calling upon these forces, you know? And sometimes we can just calling upon these forces, it can align us up with nature so we can be in the designation of what we're calling upon. That's another thing. It's not essentially that we made the rain happen. It's just that we put ourselves in a position by chanting a frequency, because then you have magnetism that's associated with it as well, and that brings you into the location. All right. Any questions or comments before I get off? All right. Any questions or comments before I get off? I want to say I love y'all, man. Thank you for everybody in the YouTube and the Facebook, man. I appreciate y'all presence. Show some love on the YouTube channel. Definitely hit that like and subscribe. I really appreciate that. That'd be cool. Um, and just stay connected with the family. All right. I plan to give you more greatness. Make sure that you get the book on Amazon. All right. Make sure that you get the Gemini Project. The Gemini Project Master Key Application 916. It's in hardback or paperback, whatever you want. If you want it in hardback, you can get it in hardback. If you want it in paperback, you can get it in paperback. Get the Gemini Project, if anything. That is a great book. The Temple of 31 Steps is a super book, and these books will help you in ways that you cannot even imagine. All right, to be honest, because you got to look at it as an ingredient, like ingredients for a cookbook that you, and for a grand dinner or design that you cooking up, you whipping up. So I'm giving you more ingredients, more weapons in your shed, your weapons, in your arsenal for war. And keep it real. So I hope people realize that that's important. Like, check out them books. The Also, the Scrolls of Halloween is out as well. That's in hardback. That breaks down a lot of stuff. Okay. Okay. So otherwise than that, I love y'all, man. Thank you for your time. I'll see y'all in Puerto Rico. Definitely, I appreciate everyone. Peace to Sister Kind of Fear. Thank you for your time. And for everyone that is interested in the Taino, I would say just it's online. A lot of stuff is online. A lot of stuff that I have found is online. Okay? Like the dictionary. I found the dictionary and it was online. And what I did was I just went crazy with it. I started taking the words and started learning more about how to apply different ways to associate how they expressed it. And this gave me a grand understanding of what the Taino, or I'm beginning to have a grand understanding of what the Taino spirituality was about. So I give that to you. All right. And definitely, peace to all the cacique, all the ancient great ones that are holding up the remembrance of our ancestors, man. To be honest, peace to everybody that's really holding this up, because it's not popular. It's popular to go back to Egypt. I ain't gonna lie to you. It's popular to be a Muslim. It's popular to be a Hebrew. It's popular to be a Christian, but it ain't popular to be a native or an Aboriginal. It ain't popular, because those people are said to be extinct. And how can they be extinct and their blood flows through your veins? That don't make sense. All right? That really doesn't make sense at all. And I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept it. You know what I'm saying? I found out about the Taino from my grandmother's sister's old white Bahamas long time. Thank you. We coming back home, man. We coming back home. These are the first people that your boy encountered when he came. He encountered the Taino people. You know? But otherwise than that, I love y'all, man. Y'all have a great night. 747, 24/7, 361 degrees. You know? And y'all kick butt. I love y'all. Taino! I wanted to leave y'all out with a banger.
Yeah, Koebe. Yeah, Tuwalu. Yeah, Yakahu. Yeah, Tuwalu. Yeah, Atabe. Yeah, Tuwalu. Yeah, Huracan. Yeah, Tuwalu. Yeah, Kobenesek. Yeah, Tuwalu. Yeah, Zembi. Yeah, Tuwalu. Ya Bo'o, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Ana, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Ara, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Batay, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Bohio, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Bori, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Cacique, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Canoa, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Casabe, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Semi, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Kahoma, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Canuco, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Guamo, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Aguaca, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Hiba, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Huracan, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Macana, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Magway, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Maize, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Manati, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Mabi, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Taino, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Opia, Ya Tuwalu. Ya Paragua, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Quisqueya, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Rocco, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Sabana, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Taino, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Toroco, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Di, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Ture, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Utu, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Bekosi, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Yakwa, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Yari, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Yuka, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Yuke, Ya Tuwalu.
Hope y'all enjoyed this discussion. It was so fun. Thank you for y'all time. All right. I'm going to run this back one more time for y'all. And it is what it is. Boom. Salutations. 747 24/7 361 degrees.
Taino! Ya Koebe, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Yakahu, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Atabe, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Huracan, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Kobenesex, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Zembi, Ya Tuwalu. Ya Bo'o, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Ana, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Ara, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Batay, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Bohio, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Bori, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Cacique, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Canoa, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Casabe, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Semi, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Kahoma, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Canuco, Ya Tuwalu, Ya Guamo, Ya Tawalu. Ya Atwaka. Ya Tawalu. Ya Hiba. Ya Tawalu. Ya Huracan. Ya Tawalu. Ya Makana. Ya Tawalu. Ya Magway. Ya Tawalu. Ya Maize. Ya Tawalu. Ya Manaki. Ya Tawalu. Ya Mabi. Ya Tawalu. Ya Taino. Ya Tawalu. Ya Opia. Ya Tawalu. Ya Paragua. Ya Tawalu. Ya Kizkaya. Ya Tawalu. Ya Roko. Ya Tawalu. Ya Sabana. Ya Tawalu. Ya Taino. Ya Tawalu. Ya Toroko. Ya Tawalu. Ya Di. Ya Tawalu. Ya Ture. Ya Tawalu. Ya Utu. Ya Tawalu. Ya Bekosi. Ya Tawalu. Ya Tawalu. Ya Yakwa. Ya Tawalu. Ya Yari. Ya Tawalu. Ya Yuka. Ya Tawalu. Ya Yuke. Ya Tawalu.